Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I've got a full tank review for you on the Brennos. This is a tier 8 French premium heavy tank, and I'm already hearing the sighs out there from the audience. Another one that will be coming in a bonus battle pass. Another one, but wait just a second. And that is because this bonus battle pass will be 25 days long and 50 stages, and you won't have to spend gold to be able to get your hands on the Brennos. It's going to be in the standard version of the battle pass that will be available to celebrate the 15th anniversary of World of Tanks. So this is going to be the easiest tier 8 premium arguably to be able to get in a very long time. But just because it's easy to get doesn't mean that you might not want it, or that you might actually want it. And that's going to be my job today, to let you know whether this tank is going to be worth your time. So I'm going to be comparing the Brennos to the French tier 8 heavy tank, the AMX 65T that nobody will really review very highly, the Liberté, which is available inside the Bond store, and also the classic Lerva. And you'll see why I think this vehicle is quite similar to a Lerva as we go through the statistics. So this 105mm on the Brennos has 320 alpha damage, just a little bit better than the Liberté, the same as the Lerva, but worse than that 120mm that you'll have on the AMX 65T. DPM-wise, this vehicle is practically identical to the Liberté. It's just a bit better than Lerva, but gets trumped by the AMX 65T. Penetration-wise, identical to the Lerva, practically the same as the Liberté, a bit better than the AMX 65T, but when we look at the gold pen, it's got 280 APCR, which is much better than the Liberté, but significantly worse than the 294 that you'll have on the Lerva. Gun handling wise, however, this tank, it's excellent news. 1.8 seconds aim time, an incredible gun handling of 0.12 when moving and 0.08 when turning the turret means that you don't really need vert stabs on this tank. Its gun handling is 50% better than the Liberté, over 50% better than the Lerva, and its turret reverse dispersion almost half that of the MX 65T. It also gets wonderful 10 degrees of gun depression, which will make you very flexible on the ridgeline like the Liberté and the Lerva. But the only real downside to this tank compared to the Lerva with regards to the gun handling here is the accuracy. 0.37, this tank whiffs a lot of shells that Lerva will connect very cleanly. The mobility of the Brennos, 40 forwards, the same as the Liberté, 5 better than the AMX 65T and the Lerva. The reverse speed of 18 is lovely, so it can pull back over a ridgeline. But the big benefit of this vehicle is that while it's still a heavy tank, 65 tons means this thing rams well with controlled impact, but the power to weight ratio of 18 is brilliant, much better than the 65T and the Liberté. However, it's the ground resistances that are awesome on this vehicle. 1 on hard, 1.2 on medium, and 2 on soft, which you can improve to 1.2 if you take off-road driving on this tank. That makes this thing oh so much faster, and while the other vehicles in this comparison can't actually get up to their top speed limit on medium terrain, let alone hard terrain, the Brennos actually really gets going. 40, it will be going along at 40, even on medium and soft, again, if you're taking off-road driving. So this vehicle kind of feels like an FCM 50T within that regard, but I don't really think that that vehicle is comparable to the Brennos. So we could be comparing against every single vehicle in the blooming game if we start getting into there. So the turret traverse on this vehicle is pretty good. The tank traverse is pretty good. So far, you know, it's not the best of guns, but its gun handling is decent and it's got good mobility. Things are looking really good for this tank, right? Until we start to look at the armor of this vehicle. 105 at the front, 90 at the side, 250 on the front of the turret and 90 on the side of the turret. Makes this thing look great and much better than the Lerva within that regard, until we actually go and take a look at what this thing's armor looks like. This is an AMX 5120 hull, and it means that even tier 7 tanks and 6 tanks that you're going to meet are going to be penning you pretty much with their regular rounds. Maybe your tier 6s will have to load gold to have a guaranteed chance of going through this thing's big, flappy, horrible hull. But yeah, even if you side scrape on this tank with that lovely 90mm of side armor, it doesn't really matter because they're going to be able to shoot this whole wing. Turret armor wise, big weak point on top with only 215 protection, 158 on the one on the side. So unless you're using your gun depression, and even if you are, the top of the turret is still, these weak points are easily exposed. Now, the sloped one here actually gets pretty good when you are using your gun depression, so you can bait your opponents into trying to shoot it, but if they have decent penetration, they are still easily going to be able to go through that. So tier 9 and tier 10 tanks are still going to be very highly likely to go through, even if you are using your gun depression. By far the most depressing thing about this tank is even if you are using its 10 degrees of gun depression, its hull armor just still doesn't work. It's horrible, 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 horrible. And all of the other vehicles in this comparison absolutely trash the Brennos with regards to how its armor works out. I'd say it's similar to the AMX 65T, but again, if we look at the firepower, man, the 65T trashes the Brennos when it comes to firepower. So the question is do you want to gain a reasonable amount of mobility but still have absolutely no camo rating because you're not a medium tank, to be able to sacrifice the firepower, to be able to just to be able to have a little bit of gun handling as well? It's going to be a decision that you're going to have to make. Undoubtedly, the Lerva, the Liberté, although that has a weak point, absolutely destroy the Brennos with regards to armor, both on the hull and on the turret, and it's by far the most depressing thing about playing this tank. Hit points wise, the Brennos is 150 less than the Lerva, the same as the Liberté, and 100 less than the 65T, so that sucks. And view range wise as well, 380 on the Brennos means that unless you're using a premium consumable and you've got all the field mods, your view range is kind of gonna suck. Unlike the Lerva and the Liberté, they can pretty much get away without a premium consumable on that tank because of their little advantage. Crew-wise, if you have an AMX M454 crew, you'll be very happy on this tank. It's a commander, a gunner, driver, radio operator, and a loader, which kind of sucks if you only play the AMX 50B and you don't have that spare crew member that the French tank at tier, well, the French auto-loading heavy tank doesn't have. So commander-wise, I would recommend taking Brothers Repairs, Recon, Emergency, Coordination, and Practicality for your gunner. Brothers Repairs, Snapshot, optional on this vehicle, but I don't think Concentration or Quick Aiming is better, so I would take Designated Target with Deadeye and Armorer on this vehicle, probably even before you take the Snapshot. For your driver, Brothers Repairs, Smooth Ride Off-Road Driving, Engineering Controlled, Impact will do you proud. For your radio operator, Brothers Repairs, Situational Awareness, Side-by-Side, Firefighting, Jamming will do you good on this tank. And for your loader, I'd recommend Brothers Repairs, Safe Stowage, Intuition, Ammo Tuning, and Perfect Charge. But if you don't care about the shell velocity, maybe take Adrenaline Rush or Close Combat instead. For your equipment, I'm going to be taking Vents, Turbo, Gun Rammer on this tank so I can try and get forwards, work some ridges, make some cheeky aggressive plays, and also, you know, get ramming. This thing weighs 65 tons, so one of the best aspects of it is those kind of brutal shunts that the vehicle can have. For my second build on this tank, I am going to be taking a durability device instead of the turbo for when I don't need to get places. Now, because of the weak points on top of this vehicle, if you want to have truly absolutely epic gun handling, then take Vert Stabs on this tank and then just try and keep those weak points moving. But they're so big anyway that it's not really a weak point that you can avoid getting shot in. You just got to try and make sure you're using all of your gun depression to make it as strong as possible. For the field mods on this tank, I'd take All-Terrain Suspension, improve the accuracy on this vehicle, follow it up with some view range, and then I'm going to be taking the turbo slot on this vehicle to either put the vent or the turbo in it, depending on which of my two builds I'm using. So that's all you need to know about the Brennos and how to set it up. Let's see if it actually does well on the battlefield. So one of the biggest issues that I think that you will have if you're anything like me with the Brennos is kind of like, where do you take it? You know, any tank that has big old weak points on top of it, but you'd say the strength of this vehicle has to be its hull down capacity, unless you're kind of cursed wherever you go. This vehicle, it can't side scrape because it has horrible hull armor. It can't really make big trades because it doesn't have any alpha damage, and it doesn't have any damage per minute, so it can't kind of like make an all-in play and rip and tear. And it doesn't have an autoloader that doesn't make up for that awful damage per minute that the vehicle has. So you've just got to think about the strengths of this tank. The strengths of this tank are 10 degrees of gun depression and pretty good gun handling and quite pokey penetration. I'd say those are the three strengths of this vehicle. So it is a lot like a Lerva. The way that I play this vehicle is how I would play a Lerva. The thing is it's a lot faster than the Lerva, so you can afford to kind of like make plays into more cheeky positions. Or alternatively, just make sure you're not trying to side scrape in this tank like a Lerva. So all of the hull down kind of capacity of this tank and the Lerva, it's the same. You know, you got the 10 degrees of gun depression. I'm just trying to shove through here. And I found something quite interesting about this position. And that is that the actual flappy fabric, you can actually see the hitbox for the flappy fabric there. That doesn't actually count as a hitbox, so you can actually shoot through that. But if you go just a little bit, I can probably mouse over if I go and zoom in one more time. Am I going to zoom? Come on, zoom, QuickyBaby, so I can show. If I pause the video here, I can tell you. So this like rim here, you can actually shoot anything to the side of that. From over here, but the actual hitbox is that kind of like fabric. You know, in World of Tanks, if this was real, you could shoot through the fabric, right? And through these huge holes in the fence in this position. So I guess I get a little bit lucky that Kalana bounces off me at the back of the map. Unfortunately, I don't get so lucky that I avoid the artillery. And yeah, talking about artillery, this thing does not take artillery hits very well. So that's another warning to you. To just don't go and sit in the open. And so you're going to see, I'm thinking to myself, like, what do I do? Like, what do I do? Nobody's going to push. I got weak points on top of me. I can't fight a hull down conqueror. But I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll drop back and make a big old misplay here. Get shot once. That's okay. Turn my armor towards them and start reversing, because with the turbo, this thing actually goes backwards very well indeed. And now it's like, well, yeah, look at that gun handling. Snap, snap, snap. That's this vehicle. That is the Brennos. That is the Brennos in a nutshell. It's able to snap. You see this? We don't have to stay still for very long, and that is by far the best thing about this tank. So if you're someone who feels like they've got some good mouse control, you will be able to hopefully outshoot your opponents in this tank. And I'm gonna say I hope you're able to outshoot them, because you're definitely not overpowering them with this vehicle's firepower, and you're not going to be overpowering them with its alpha damage, you know? And the accuracy isn't really anything to write home about. And while it has got a good power to weight ratio, it doesn't really have the top speed limit to make any crazy plays like you could in some other heavies, some other French heavies, you know? You don't have the autoloader, you don't have this, you don't have that. So I guess when it comes down to it, you got to think, what is the purpose of this vehicle? What is the purpose of this vehicle? I guess the purpose of this vehicle is that Wargaming want to just have something that they can give away for the anniversary. But the thing is that you're still going to have to grind 50 Battle Pass stages, even if you don't have to spend any gold to be able to get the Brennos. Now, Wargaming have been so liberal with all of their Tier 8 premium tanks. You know, like, you could have got a Nurgle for about 8 hours of gameplay. That I'm just trying to think about what the use case is for me saying that I would recommend this vehicle. Irrelevant. I haven't come to the conclusion about whether this is a good tank or not, or whether it's a bad tank. We will get there by the end of this video. I'm just trying to think about who the player base and the use case for this tank. Because if you looked at the statistics, I'd say that the Liberté is better than this. There's almost like different tiers of premium tanks in World of Tanks, right? You've got the echelons of the overpowered, like the BZ-176 and the Skoda T56, but those ones are always available for money, right? They never make those available for free, easily from a battle pass, or available for bonds and that kind of thing. Sometimes you can get the Skoda T56 for gold, but usually it's quite a high amount of gold that you have to pay to be able to get your hands on that vehicle. So you've got your top tier paid tanks. Then you usually have the ones that Wargaming sell for money occasionally, you know, like again the Skoda. Then under that, you've got vehicles which I'd say are available inside the bond store, which is a sought after currency. And then you have a load of vehicles where Wargaming make them that you're able to get them very easily, such as the Nurgle or this, the low end vehicles, right? And I genuinely think that Wargaming are putting this vehicle in the game for a couple of reasons. Number one, something new. It's so easy, dude. They basically just took a 5120 hull and put a pseudo AMX turret on it and basically gave the vehicle lower firepower while changing the statistics slightly, and then giving it, should we say, AMX 50T mobility without actually kind of giving it that top speed, right? So it's not an incredible tank, far from it. What is the market for this vehicle? Who would I recommend this tank to? The only people that I can recommend this tank to would be tank collectors. If you're a tank collector, you're already probably figuring out how much gold you're going to have to spend to be able to skip the battle pass stages, right? Or you're thinking about how much more that you have to play World of Tanks to be able to get your hands on this. Now, if you're a tank collector who doesn't actually play World of Tanks very much, I think the real win from Wargaming right now is how much pressure they're putting on us to actually play the game to be able to keep up with all the bonus battle passes, right? We just had the TS6 and the IMT, which a lot of people spent a good amount of time over the 10-11 days to be able to get their hands on. And all of those players, they skipped doing the regular battle pass to be able to grind those battle pass stages. Now, if you think about it, we had like 40 stages for the TS6. Now we're going to have 50 stages for this. That's 90 stages on top of the 150 stages that Wargaming are wanting you to do over a 3-month period. So over this 3-month period, the 150 has now become like 240 stages. And over 90 days, that is a lot of play. That is a lot of play, boys and girls. It's like 1.6 stages per day just to get the regular battle pass done. And that's over the 90 days. This will actually add half a stage on top of that per day. So it's now starting to get to the stage where you need to play World of Tanks for 2 to 3 stages every day, unless you want to start spending gold to skip stages. And I think that's what it comes down to now, is that a lot of players will have to start making decisions. Do I want to finish the battle pass, or should I actually go for this and get 50 stages worth of battle pass for this? And so it's tricky for me then to give those kind of recommendations, because what is 50 stages of the battle pass? Let's imagine that you complete all 3 chapters of the battle pass. What does 50 stages actually give you? Well, I did the math, including opening the lucky scratch cards. I figured it out that this tank is roughly worth about 350 components. It's worth about 750 bonds, about 600,000 credits, and I think it was something like about 30,000 free experience that you would get if, instead of activating the Brennos Battle Pass and grinding your way through it, that instead you actually just focused on completing the regular Battle Pass, and then you did 10 entire completions of the Elite Circuit at the end, and that would actually give you 30 scratch cards to be able to open up instead of the Brennos. So it's a tricky one, boys and girls, for me to really recommend for all of you, because the Brennos itself, you've looked at the statistics. It's nothing special. It's absolutely nothing special. There's nothing special about the Brennos. But would you be better getting all of those rewards that I recommended rather than this vehicle if you already have a premium tank inside World of Tanks? Well, probably. Probably some of you will be looking at this thing and thinking, like, is this thing even really worth, like, the 2,000 bonds or whatever that I'll lose? Now, let me clarify. I don't actually know, at the time of making this video, what else you will get inside Wargaming's Battle Pass. You might actually get a lot of really good stuff. And if you get a lot of really good stuff, with this being the cherry on top at the end of the event, then probably. But just keep in mind that if you don't complete the regular Battle Pass, you won't be getting all of those tokens, and then you won't be able to get vehicles like the Char Future 4, or alternatively some of the new ones, like, what is it, the Object 265T, which I think is a very solid tier 9 vehicle. But it isn't premium. So this was just a solid game. By falling back and going hull down and then playing a support role, we're able to get 3,800 combined in this tier 9 matchup. Thumbs up for this, let's say, mediocre tank to be able to have a result like that here. So let's follow up that game where we were dealing with tier 9 tanks with a good old classic 3-tier spread where we're top tier. We're fighting against a Conceiver and a Lerva, a vehicle which, as you could see with the statistics review, I think is just very similar to this tank. But the vehicles do play differently. So the Brennos, in this kind of a situation, look at its ground resistances, look at its power to weight ratio. We are absolutely motoring into position up to kind of like the vehicle's top speed limit of 45 kilometers an hour with the turbo. It just gets there. So for certain maps where you're kind of like slowly trundling uphill to be able to go and take that initial advantageous position, man, this thing absolutely pumps, and it'll probably get into position as fast as medium tanks will. Now, of course, when it's there, it's not really going to have the firepower that most tier 8 medium tanks are going to have, and it's definitely not going to have the turret armor that some more of the heavily armored ones will have. But look at this. We're there. We've got the snap on the Lerva. We've already managed to knock out their gunner, so they've had to use their med kit to be able to repair that. And now we're going to come around the corner, snap, actually ricochet a shell from the lever there. Looks like maybe he was going for our turret. Yep, going for the top of our tank, but missed our weak points. And I know that I've got a slight rate of fire advantage on the lever, which allows me to follow it up. Although, as we can see, a slight rate of fire. Bounce another shell, and now have to have the Wrath of the Arty. Follow it up with some Panzer IV's farmage here. And yeah, it's definitely the gun handling on this tank and its ability to be able to work a ridgeline in the open and get into position and pressure its opponents for not having got there first. By far the best thing that you can do on this vehicle. And that is a tasty start to this game. So I want to go back to the conversation that I was having. So I've pretty much highlighted to all of you that if you're not going to complete the regular battle pass, this vehicle... I can't, unless the rewards are really good, I can't recommend actually going for this vehicle. 50 stages is a lot, even over a 25-day period. And unless you've got nothing else to activate with the battle pass, and Wargaming are putting loads of bonds and loads of boosters and loads of premium time, which you actually need, then yeah, I'm not entirely sold on this vehicle. Now, undoubtedly, thumbs up to Wargaming for putting in a tank that it's not horrendous. This tank is definitely not good. It's not good. It's either poor or average, but I'd say definitely on the poor side of average. But is it a case that, is this like a gift horse, you know? You're not meant to look horses that are gifted to you in the mouth. You're not meant to judge how healthy the horse is, right? Because it's a horse. It's a free horse. And, the Brennos is a free tank, but it's not a free tank because it's 50 battle pass stages, irrelevant of making it over 25 days. So it's a real weird one. This is an incredibly hard tank for me to be able to let you know about whether the battle pass and so on and so forth is going to be worth it, because it is kind of a free tank, but it's 50 stages. It's tough. I'm trying to come to a conclusion here about the vehicle, as well as also coming to a conclusion about whether you should be able to put your time in. My gut instinct is the only players who I would recommend to go for this vehicle are people who absolutely, utterly need another Tier 8 Premium Heavy because you don't have one already, or you don't have enough to be able to play front line, for example. Or alternatively, people who are looking at this tank and thinking, you know, I don't mind weak points, I don't mind having awful hull armor, I don't mind having mediocre alpha damage, I don't mind having mediocre damage per minute. Yeah, I don't mind playing a heavy tank and not being able to use camo like I could do in a medium. I don't mind. If that is you, well, you are about this much of the World of Tanks player base. And so I can't really recommend this vehicle. It's definitely not the worst thing that you'll ever play in your life, but it's far from great. And as soon as you get yourself against tier 9 tanks who play properly, or get yourself against some really powerful autoloaders, or God forbid having to play against tier 10 tanks, you are going to struggle. So, the Brennos. All in all, I don't recommend this vehicle. Although, there are some players out there who this tank, it will be okay for. If you're someone who's already completed the battle pass stages, do I think that it's worth activating the bonus battle pass to be able to get this one? Yeah, if you're going to complete it, if you're going to keep playing World of Tanks, and let me clarify, everyone, if you want to get this vehicle fairly easily, just log in every day. I know, but don't play a huge amount every day, but just play enough to be able to complete your bonus missions. If you play enough to be able to complete your bonus missions, those daily bonus missions, you should be able to get this vehicle very easily, because you'll get 70 battle pass points. You're going to get 70 battle pass points, which is like 1.5 stages just from the missions, and then you're easily going to get the extra 30 battle pass points or so to be able to get the extras. So you need to get yourself, I think it's 2,500 battle pass points. You've got 25 days to do it. 100 battle pass points a day. It's as easy as can be, with regards to Wargaming allowing people to get free tier 8 premiums. But the thing is that for most people, you should just go get a Liberté. Go get your Liberté inside a bond store and you'll have a much better tank and you'll have a much better time. Nevertheless, for this vehicle, just getting into position, going and putting in 2 or 3 shots, hopefully a few more shots. You know, hopefully you guys are trying to put in more than 2 or 3 shots in World of Tanks, right? It can make credits. It can make credits. And with the good standard pen as well, unless you get yourself into a truly tragic matchup, you should be okay to still contest the majority of vehicles with that 230 AP pen. But yeah, the APCR pen, that 280 APCR pen, I did find myself dipping my hands into it quite a lot when I'm in my slightly worse matchups. So, the final word, Brennos. It's a below average tank, but it's a free tank. But Wargaming are quite sneaky, because now, even when they seem like they're giving you things for free, they're actually still making you work for it. And I think the issue will be that players will be stretched. I'm trying to knock down this tree with an HE round, by the way, if you're wondering what I'm doing. I think players will be incredibly stretched to be able to have got the TS6, let alone get the IMT, to complete 3 stages of Wargaming's Battle Pass, and then to be able to complete this bonus Battle Pass for the anniversary. I think it would have been nice if Wargaming had accounted for this, but maybe they are actually accounting for this. Maybe that's what they're thinking. They're thinking, well, we can put this vehicle in that everybody can easily get for free if they want to, and they prioritize, but realistically, a lot of people are going to have to spend gold to skip stages, either on the regular Battle Pass, or they'll have to skip stages on this vehicle. That CS-53, by the way, had a clean shot to get his top gun, but he missed the shell. I didn't want to reset the cap and have some kind of disaster where the Emil makes bad plays and I get caught out as I'm a one-shot. So, the Brennos. Look, Wargaming, thumbs up to you for creating a vehicle that is easily achievable for the player base and to give a genuine opportunity for everybody to have a tier 8 premium tank. The thing is that we've had battle passes in the past where people could have got tier 9 tanks like the STR VK or alternatively the WZ-114, which is now inside the bond store. And I think both of those tanks are as good, if not better, than this vehicle, and they can make bonds as well. So is this a true amazing celebration of World of Tanks' 15th birthday? It's not bad, but it's not exceptional, boys and girls. There's nothing exceptional about this tank. There's nothing exceptional about this offer. But I still hope that I've been able to break it down for you today and to let you know whether this tank is going to be worth your time. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was it for today. Really hope you enjoyed this video and it was useful for you. If it was, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know what you think about the Brennos in the comments down below. And what do you think about 50 Battle Pass stages, albeit over 25 days? Do you think that's a really good thing? Or do you think it's going to be really hard for you to complete the regular Battle Pass with so much bonus Battle Pass grinding that's going on? And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Thursday, I'm not streaming today, but I'm going to be streaming tomorrow. So I will be returning on Twitch. So looking forward to seeing you all there. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic and hopefully I'll see you soon.